Hey, Justin, how are you today? Welcome back to another podcast.
Thank you very much, Dharam. Had a nice couple weeks of vacation with the family. Feel very refreshed and re-energized, and definitely excited to tackle the new challenges here coming up with the summertime.
Exactly. And look, we had great time in Frankfurt. It was wonderful meeting with you after having lots of podcasts together. Physical meeting was great with you, Thomas, Reinhard, and so much fun I had. So I was telling you, that was my, it was a chapter from a dream book, literally like that, with the lots of food, eating, drinking, bro, seeing around. Can't believe it, but it's all over, and now I have to start again.
Yeah. Well, and the best part was it was completely unplanned, and it just happened to be where the stars were aligned, and it just happened naturally.
Great, great. Yeah. So yeah, looking forward for another star alignment, or maybe we have to align them so that we meet sometime. It's not we have to wait for the universe to bring them together. We can also make our efforts.
Absolutely, manifest it.
Exactly, and that's where the today's topic is all about. As a program, project, portfolio management manager, and the leadership in those roles. So topic is program, project, portfolio management leadership. So, what do you understand by leadership?
Well, this has definitely been a topic that certainly even started in my high school football days, quite frankly, and continued on into college, and of course, um, with my football career, and then obviously now with my professional career. But leadership is something that uh, first off, anyone that gets caught up in the "I'm your boss" type thing, there, if you have to say it, you're not really the boss, quite frankly, the way I see it. And for me, anyone that gets caught up in that, they're just not going to cut it when the rubber meets the road, so to speak. When you're in tough times, how you respond to help the team get through the tough times, that creates natural leadership in my mind. For us, even in athletics, any type of sports, you're always going to be faced with adversity, and that's really where I would say that I first learned those leadership qualities that certainly have helped me succeed in my career, even past the field of play, where you have that mentality of us versus the world, and you're especially on the road games when you're going to play in another university's stadium where the whole crowd is against you, and all you have is each other, and you have to find a way to get the job done. And having that, what I like to call the "so what, now what" mentality, that's what you have to do. You expect to have certain things happen that you couldn't even plan for, and you need to find a way to overcome, adapt, and ultimately succeed. And so we've done that, the same thing, even as a young project manager, when I was just getting my feet wet in the profession, and being able to take those same qualities, specifically the servant leadership, and understanding, hey, I don't necessarily know what these particular individuals, their specialties are under me. I know I need them to be able to be successful. And so the first thing that I'm asking them is, okay, what do you need from me? What obstacles do you have in your way that are preventing you from succeeding? And that ultimately was kind of how I really started to get a strong footing in the leadership role. And we created a team that to this day is fantastic. We've had folks that have moved on to other opportunities and been promoted, but we still have that core group of, hey, we still want to work together. We still find success. And a lot of times we find ourselves in situations that we just make it happen, and honestly, we make it look easy. And the folks back at home in the U.S. sometimes go, "All right, how did you do that?" And we don't get caught up in our titles. We lead by example, and we do the right thing and go above and beyond. we don't get caught up in that's not my job, that's somebody else's, hey, if I have to go pick up trash or go make a run to get some widget, I'm going to go do it. I'm not going to send someone else. I'm going to make sure that we keep moving forward. And I think that's kind of the mentality, at least that I've learned, that has helped gain rapport with the team that you end up leading.
Exactly. Yeah. Look, as you rightly mentioned, leadership is not just managing; you're actually getting the things done with the help of your team. And first of all, I believe the leadership, as a leader, you need to have a vision, and you convince with your vision, whether it may be very vague, and you may, may everybody sees that, hey, this is something, I don't think it's possible at all. Nobody has done it, but you believe in the vision, and you're so convinced that you can get your other people with you and make it possible. That's what the leadership is. And it's not just managerial title or some title, it's more about your vision, and you take everybody and convince them to follow you and then get it done.
Absolutely. And for me, the folks that have worked for me, look, you have your specialty, I have mine. I expect you to be a professional, and I'm going to do the same, and we're going to bring this together and ultimately succeed. And it's worked. Of course, you have to adapt and overcome all kinds of different challenges, and working in different countries and regions and all that good stuff. But ultimately, at the end of the day, when you have that core team that just no matter what, we'll find a way to get it done. And that just comes from again, all that experience and a lot of it's confidence too. They have that reassurance knowing that, hey, that we've not failed, and today's not going to be that day, and we're going to find a way. And that belief in one another that some days are rougher than others, but again, at the end of the day, we just need to win each day, take it day by day, and win the day.
Exactly. Yeah, great stuff. Thank you. So my question is, there are many leadership styles. If you start counting millions of them, and how we will see the great leaders describe how great leader works in this situation, and share experience.
Yeah, I know I've mentioned it several times before, where I've been blessed, certainly with my athletic career, but not only that, working in the defense industry, being around some senior military leaders, and just even in my younger time in my career, just being able to be in the room to listen to some of these folks, it was just you're just in awe to be there, quite frankly, in the aura of the room. But taking those opportunities to listen, how their mannerisms, how they interact with their staff, how they don't necessarily have to command respect. It's given because of their leadership. How do I want to say, style? But for me, from what makes a great leader, I think, of course, as you've already said, the vision, the mission, and being able to adapt that and find a way to lead those folks. But I think even more when all that is macro, but when we really get into the micro, first and foremost, I think you need to know your team. I think it's important to know the strengths and weaknesses of your team, and making sure that you set your team up for success. When you're looking at matchups, so to speak, you want to always make sure you play to your strengths and figure out what your weaknesses are and how you're going to shore those up. I think that always is truly a great leader that doesn't surround themselves with a bunch of yes people, because if they want to hear what they want, it's a recipe for disaster. You have to be willing and wanting to know the bad news as well. I think that's very important. And then not only that, being personable. I truly, in the last couple of years, I've gotten to meet a lot of senior leaders in various organizations, CEOs, all the way up. And a lot of the ones that are still creating successful companies and everything else, it's almost like they have it feels like they have like a photographic memory, but what they truly are they are so personable, and they actually are sit and take the time to listen and remember things. Like I've spoken with a retired 4-star general who's he's the president of the Middle East for a large aviation company, and I've talked to him years ago, and he remembered me like it was yesterday, and I was a nobody at that time, and talk about a real experience of going, okay, this is someone that I obviously want to aspire to someday. And he remembers me when I was just lucky to be in the room. And that's the kind of stuff that you're going, okay, he really was paying attention to me, even though I didn't think he necessarily was. And so those type of leaders that spend the time to understand, get to know who you are, playing to each other's strengths and being personable, I think is truly a great trait. Even my company's current CEO, when I had breakfast with her last year, just sitting there watching her interact with others, big thing here in Saudi Arabia with women in the workplace now. She sat down, was sitting with Saudi women and really talking to them and understanding their experience. Those are the type of things that you won't see on a balance sheet or anything else, but that's something that she's going to remember those type of things. And when she's faced with a decision later that could possibly affect, let's say, a company in Saudi or some operations in Saudi Arabia, she's going to remember those type of things and make the decision. So those are the big things for me: being personable, being really understanding your people and setting them up for success, I think is some great leadership traits. And certainly I've been a beneficiary of having some folks that have played to my strengths and set me up for success as well.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you for sharing that personal experience with so many people. So everybody come with a different leadership style, and the uniqueness is there, but and then there's some strength and weaknesses. I mean, that's the human nature. You cannot be the superhuman. So, but in the worst situation, how you react, how you stay resilient when the things are not working for you. So that's the kind of a reflection of a true leader. I've seen people giving up with the minor difficulty. Hey, this is not for me. I don't want to be in this. But the resilient people or leaders strongly believe in their view or vision or internal belief. They continue to walk in this horrible situation and get it done, because they can see further away from with the minor disruption happening. Beyond that is a blue sky with the beautiful sun shining there.
Yeah, I will even tell you of course, my last CEO before our company was sold to Parsons, he would go out and be a technician at times, and like an undercover boss type thing, where he would go and install sensors and different things. And he would literally, when he'd sign in on the sheet, his position was technician, and it would take several days for some folks to realize who he was. And I think those type of traits, certainly he's very successful. I consider him a great mentor and a friend to this day. But those are the type of things that make a person successful. When you're in that leadership role, don't go and hide in your office. You need to get out. You need to see the folks that you're leading. You need to make sure that you are being seen by them and spending the time with them. Because I know I've seen a lot of other leaders at times where they're like these mythical things that nobody's ever seen them before, and it's very important to make sure that you are seen by your entire staff when you can. I recognize that some of these big companies become so big that it's very difficult, but finding a way to make yourself visible and engage with your folks, I think is very important as well, and just being humble.
Exactly. Being humble, very important. Yes, you may be a position, very high position, but still being humble and connecting with the people, grassroots people. They see you as friend, not just a leader or like a title holder. That's more important. Yeah. So coming back to the favorite topic, which is we talking project program portfolio management. What is your leadership style, leadership attitude as the program and portfolio manager?
So for me, from a program or a portfolio manager standpoint, from a leadership attitude, what I constantly will preach is customer relationships.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the biggest things that a program project portfolio manager need to constantly be I call it gardening, planting those seeds and continuing to grow that, because that's your best form of, number one, business development, continuing on with the projects that you currently have. And then that helps define and make sure that expectations are being met, having an understanding. You develop that relationship where the customer may be able to, hey, I really wish you guys would find a way to be faster with this. Those are the type of things that they're not going to necessarily just come out and tell you sometimes. You have to have that good relationship to be able to find out where you're lacking. And so from my standpoint as a leader in that regard, from a program portfolio, that first and foremost is one of the biggest things. It's helped me be the most successful that I could possibly be. And that allows me to, anytime there is a real issue, because of that relationship that I've built with the customers, I can easily call them up if there's an invoicing issue or anything like that. We find a way to get it done, and that is a huge thing, especially when trying to get deliverables in and closing out the project. Additionally, making sure that you have that constant communication with all of your team, making sure that, hey, this is where we said we were going to be. Where are we at? Are we ahead of the game? Are we behind? Having that constant understanding of where we're at, what is our projections, and for me in that leadership type role is I'm asking those PMs, okay, what can I do to help you to get back on track or to accelerate? What can I do from a servant leadership standpoint? Is there something on the back end with corporate, or is it something with the customer that I might have a relationship with that we can leverage to, get past a certain stopping block or stopping point? I think those are the type of things. It all stems back from customer relationship, but that is probably one of the biggest things that I harp on, and certainly quality with your delivery. You have to deliver a quality product. If you don't deliver quality,
Yep.
they'll find someone else. Because at the end of the day, there's always going to be another company that can do it cheaper.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that you're going to be delivering high quality, because if that's the only thing that's going to save you. Because if you're going to get into a competition of a race to the bottom, everyone loses. So I think, for me, customer relationships, quality, and constant customer satisfaction and expectation management, and of course that ends up going through to stakeholders, et cetera, et cetera. But those, from a macro standpoint, those are my big ones that I constantly harp on and has led to my successes.
Yeah, and look very nicely presented. And this is kind of a question, in many of the interviews, people asked in the project management, program management, portfolio management interviews, the leadership attitude, what you could do in some work situation where nothing is working. There you have stakeholders which are very demanding. Your client is expecting something yesterday, and and the team is not there, but it's still make it possible. Yes, you can say, hey, how is this possible? It's not about what you have, but how you're going to create those resources to make the things possible, which are not possible at all. That's a big difference between ordinary manager or ordinary leader versus a great leader.
No question, absolutely. It can be a challenge, and find and above quality, or along with quality, I should say. Like you said, some of those things that don't seem possible, leveraging those relationships because you already have that customer relationship.
Yeah,
You find ways to do things that if you didn't have that relationship, you won't.
exactly. Yeah, good. So what can a program portfolio leadership do to help project teams, colleagues, organization, even social circles face challenges during crisis and turbulences?
Well, for me, I'll say not even. I actually, again, I go back to my college football days. There'll be days where you felt like you had a horrible practice and you think you're going to go to the watch the film session the next day, and you're just dreading it because you think that your coach is just going to tear you apart.
Yep.
And in
Yeah.
some cases that may be true. But then there are other days that you felt like you had an amazing practice, and then you go in expecting to get all these, this praise, and it's not there. And so I have always adopted the it's never as good as it seems, and it's never as bad as it seems mentality to try and keep that even keel, no matter what it is. Because look, life is a game of you're going to have to figure out, you're going to be faced with adversity. You're going to have to overcome and adapt. And you just have to expect it. And so I try and always keep that even keel. Believe me, it's easier said than done sometimes. But having that, okay, so what? Now what mentality? What are we going to do about this? No matter if it's a project or in your life, anything else on the
Yeah.
personal side, how are you going to find a way to get it? Because quitting is not an option.
No.
So you have to find a way. And forget about trying to figure out the autopsy. Well, why did we get here? The reality is you need to figure out how to get out. Okay, we can figure out and do the post-mortem later as to why, but the reality is we have to keep moving forward, whether it's life or in a project related type atmosphere. And so for me, that's kind of the mentality that I have during a crisis and turbulence, because again, quitting is not an option. You have to find a way. And especially as we're going back to some of those earlier questions from a leadership standpoint, you're the leader. You're the one that's expected to react in a cool and calm, collected way.
Yep.
And understand, all right, what is the actual issue? All right, here's what can we do to get out of this? Those are the type of things that when you're in a leadership position, that is expected of you. And for me, that's how kind of taken my football days where, we've been, I even remember one of this is 2005. We were, no, it was 2006. We were out, played at North Dakota State. At halftime, we were down 23 or 20, I think it was 21-7 or 24-7, excuse me.
Yeah.
And going into the fourth quarter, we were still down by 10 or, we ended up finding a way to win 25-24 or something like that, and scored the go-ahead touchdown with 2 seconds left in the game. Again, if we would have sat there and panicked and freaked out, we would have gotten blown out. And all of our conference championship aspirations and everything like that would have been up in smoke. We wouldn't have done it. And so we found a way to quite frankly, get our heads together at halftime and just start clawing your way back. It's not going to be instant, but you have to just keep moving forward. And sooner or later, you're going to find daylight, and all of a sudden, you're going to be back to sprinting again. And so for me, whether it's life or in project, program, portfolio management, those are kind of the things that I always try and practice. The never as good as it seems, never as bad as it seems mentality. And my team always knows, all right, so what? That happened. Now what? What are we going to do to get out of it?
Exactly. I mean, there's a very good slogan. So what? Okay, we are in this. And now what? What can we do to come out of this? Many times people think, okay, so this has happened and this is my, never expected. Why is happening for me? I don't know what's going to happen now. They start living that within the crisis, and they get more you think negative, they can going into downward spiral, and that's where the difference comes. Okay, we are here, we are not already in the deep where I don't want to say the word, but how to come out of this. That's the more important. Yes, many people, but as a true leader, you need to see, okay, you know what? Yes, this is a crisis, this is a problem. You should ever see outside a box. What can I do? Take my team and get there outside of this and make it possible.
Yeah, I've even and again, as you get to those leadership roles, sometimes I'll even, as you well know him, Dharam, as he was one of your students, I'll know that that one of my PMs will be faced with a particular situation.
Yep.
And I already know what the answer is going to be, but I want him to expose it as if it's, he didn't know it's coming and things like that. And I want to be able to make sure that he understands, okay, this is how you need to respond to this when you're going to be faced in this situation. Because as a PM, you're going to be faced with it. And if you respond to it, whether you want to call it emotionally or kind of in a snap type response, it's not going to end well. And so teaching the folks that are underneath you, because eventually they'll be in your position, exposing them to that and being able to have those coachable moments later and go, hey, you did okay, but here's how you should have probably stated this, to then allow you to lead you to the off ramp to be able to solve this particular issue. And so sometimes as a leader, you kind of have to let them experience that.
Yes.
And then have them come to you as almost in a frantic, and then you ask those particular pointed questions. All right, well, what is the real issue? Is it because of this or that? And having that true understanding, so they can see how I'm going to how I react, and they see, oh wow, he's not reacting emotionally or just jumping in. Okay, understanding what the challenges are, what are the issues. Okay, here's what we're going to do to fix that. That is that cool, calm collectedness. They'll always say, all right, if Justin's getting upset, then we might all get upset. But that's very rare. But being able to have those coachable moments and exposing them, because one of my mentors did the same to me back in the day, and it used to drive me crazy when he would say, Justin, take the emotion out of it. It would just drive me nuts. But then years later, I truly understand it, and I appreciate him for just telling me that. And it was definitely a learning moment. I appreciate it very much now.
Yeah, I like some of the things you mentioned here, letting the team experience and go through the crisis themselves, and then you have coachable moments where, you're okay, but you could have done something better. So you're not criticizing the person at the time when the things are happening, giving an opportunity. Yes, sometimes you need to push or pull out. That's okay. But also later on, what can be done later or next time? Very, very important. And your team and like your followers, like your children, you need to know about them. Need to know about the weaknesses and strengths, and let them play with the strength. And when the weakness comes, encourage them to come out of those weaknesses, so that they become real leaders. So your job is not to you be leader, you making more leaders so they can transform whatever the world you are living in.
Yeah, pay it forward.
Exactly. It's like in a Chinese proverb or Japanese proverb, whatever they say, instead of feeding them, you teach them how to catch the fish. If you just keep feeding them, hey, this is lucky, let me do it for you, they become too much dependent on you, and then the real crisis comes. They don't know how to act. They look towards you. Hey, how can you take us out? No, now it's too late. You cannot expect them to react because they don't know how to react in that situation. If you have been feeding them, spoon feeding them, you're not a true leader. True leader is somebody make them to do things, and so that they can thrive in the crisis.
That's right. Let them dig the hole a little bit before you pull them out of the fire. They have, that's the only way you'll truly learn.
Exactly. Let them go through this. Like the gold, you cannot have the gold. The value of the gold is only when you go put that through the furnace and remove all the impurities, and then they come out shiny gold.
That's right.
Without that furnace experience, they will not become gold. Good. All right. So next question I have is, leaders grow other leaders. So we have been talking about this anyway, how we make other leaders. How does that fit in the workplace politics and the power controlling environment in today's scenario?
Well, yeah, as you said, we've already kind of been chatting about it. Those teachable moments from a workplace politics standpoint. That can be very situational and very. We won't necessarily get into that one too much, just because it's so different in each place. But I think, quite frankly, no matter what the politics are, you always want to do your best. And as a leader, hey, again, I know I can be a broken record, but I look at it like my athletic days. I want, if I'm a coach, I want the best players on the field.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. Doesn't matter where they're from, who they are, all that good stuff. I want the best people on the field of play to be able to help us win. That's the bottom line. And so understanding your team in entirety, understand their perspective of things, get to know their how they view things, and can they be a little bit more emotional than others, or are they a big thinker and don't necessarily look into the details as much? All those different things have kind of that understanding of each perspective of the folks that you're trying to, like we've said, grow to be next, the next leaders of an organization. And so finding their strengths and weaknesses, being able to communicate that with them in a way that hey, this is something that I want you to improve on. Or big things especially can be public speaking. That's a huge stage fright, but as a project, program, and portfolio manager, as you continue to move up, you have to speak more and more, and you're going to make more and more presentations. And so the sooner you get over that fear and being able to talk and just be yourself, the more successful you're going to be. But at the same point, you're not going to truly get better at it until you practice it. And so those are the type of things that I truly always am trying to push on our folks, where, hey, these are some of the things that you can improve on, because I want you to succeed more in these particular areas. So that, I think, on top of what we've already talked about, letting them, dig the hole a little bit and not necessarily pull them out of the fire right away. That's how I think you truly grow the next generation of leaders, and making sure that they're equipped with the knowledge, the understanding, and the, how do I want to say, sometimes it's just the mental drive and the fortitude and the dedication to finding a way to succeed when others have failed before. Finding that way is truly what that makes you the difference. For me, a lot of folks will see some of the projects that I've had over the years. They had never been done before. There was a new customer, new end users, challenges. Even the industry itself was saying good luck when we won the project. And thankfully, I was blessed to have some great talent with me. You have to have a little bit of luck sometimes, but the way that I saw the opportunity, I didn't see it as oh man, others have failed before, or this is a new thing. I saw it as, hey, this is an opportunity for us to put our names on the map. I try and always look at it from a positive perspective. This is an opportunity, not a, oh man, if I fail, I'm going to look bad. Again, another motivational quote that you'll find in a lot of weight rooms around the US is, once you think about what you're going to do when you lose, you've
Mm,
already lost.
yeah,
So those are the type of things that you have to have that positive mindset to be able to be successful.
exactly. I mean, I actually see differently. You say, what you will do when you will lose, and you already lost. But I say, tell my students like you, with okay, what are you going to do when you're successful? How are you going to feel like? What are you going to do?
Yep.
So give them the feeling of positiveness. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah. So tell me one thing, like, if you know that a particular person in your team is aspiring to take over your position, and he's capable, he's smarter than you, what are you going to do in that situation? Would you try to give him all the positive side and make him leader?
Absolutely. That's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, as a leader yourself, trying to hold others back, quite frankly, I think is immoral.
Yeah.
And letting folks that have maybe they have a higher top side than I do. I think that it's foolish to think that you're the best that they can that in the company. There's always going to be strengths and weaknesses, and quite frankly, I would, if someone that was in or trying to shoot for my position or is even better than me in some areas, I would actually try and take a look at what are their weaknesses and find a way to shore them up to keep moving them forward. I think that's important, and I've seen that a lot. It goes back to my time working with the military. I wasn't in the military, but I worked with them a lot, and you'll see a ton of folks that they might be of lesser rank, but they've burned they call them fast burners, where they're shooting up the ladder so quick, and that's what a lot of those mentors are doing as they're shooting up the ladder quick, making sure that, hey, you have the talent to get to the top, but make sure that you stay humble and all those different things, and understanding and listening to those senior enlisted type folks that have been around the block for a long time and have gone through a lot of experiences. Listening to those type of folks, that's going to help you succeed when you get to those senior leadership positions, because they're the ones that have seen it and have dealt with it before.
Exactly. Great stuff. Thank you. Good stuff. Okay, so my next question is, as your organization's leader, will you reject the meeting and send it back to get properly focused agenda, objective, and what the team needs to prepare to make the meeting time more useful to achieve the objective? Why does the agenda play an important role in the meetings?
Well, the first part, I'll address it. First, why does the agenda play an important role in the meetings? The way of course, when you get to a certain level, you're just thinking about it from a business perspective.
Yeah.
And when you get a bunch of folks together for a meeting, let's just say it's an internal meeting, you need to have a precise agenda, because when you're getting everyone on a meeting, let's say we have 10 folks, and you start averaging their salaries to an hourly rate, that gets to be a pretty expensive phone call when you start putting 10 people on a call. So you need to make sure that it's worthy of the folks' time, and it's a good business use. So that's why an agenda, in my eyes, plays a very critical role. In regards to the other one, will I reject the meeting and send it back to a properly focused agenda? I won't necessarily reject the meeting. I will look at the agenda and make them revise it a little bit, but I won't reject it, because it just with the way things are so busy, that, hey, okay, we actually found a time on the calendar that everyone can be a part of. Okay, great. Let's keep the meeting at that particular time, but let's get this where it needs to be to make sure that it has a good business case. So, I think that's more of you really get to the business sense, because when you start tying a bunch of people up for an hour, it gets to be very expensive.
Yeah. I mean, agenda helps you to focus, keep everybody focused, and what we want to achieve from this meeting, and what how everybody can support. And of course, if you don't have the agenda, then you create agenda at the time and create the vision for the meeting, and everybody are aligned with that and talking about that particular point. So if we don't, great.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, why can emotional intelligence matters more than IQ? Intelligent quotation. What is a quotient? Okay, IQ. For leaders of today's generation. So now, EQ versus IQ.
Yeah, I think emotional intelligence is going to take you. Of course, they're both important. Let's just say that.
Yeah, yeah.
But from an emotional intelligence standpoint, as we are more connected globally than ever before, you're going to be, and especially post-COVID with our Teams and Zoom and all these different platforms that we're talking to people all over the world from all different cultures. And you're going to have some time where there's probably going to be some disagreements. And IQ is probably not going to be the way or the pathway to find an off ramp to an agreement. And emotional intelligence, asking the right questions, and again being respectful and understanding of those different cultural norms, etc. I think is going to be much more beneficial in being able to solve disputes. That I think is the most important thing, specifically when solving disputes. Of course, when you're getting into actual problem solving or application solving a specific challenge that a customer may have, of course, then your IQ is going to be, and the talent that you have is going to be a more positive. But understanding, being able to communicate, and that emotional intelligence, that's going to help you at least get you to the dinner table to be able to execute, so to speak.
Exactly. Look, now IQ, we cannot underestimate, or IQ is very important. Now IQ or intelligence is available using lots of AI and ChatGPT and other things. Those are, yeah, I'm not saying we can replace the human intelligence versus by this, but that emotional intelligence, something very, very important for any leader, because it's all about people, the team, what your team feels, and how you would do, removing the obstacles for them to do the excellent job you're expecting from them. You're removing the barriers for them. But that's where we talk about servant leadership. As a servant leader, you are leader, but serving your community, your team, your people. So thinking from emotional intelligence, I think very, very important. Understanding your own feelings, understanding the feeling of other people, and how can you navigate those feelings for the positive direction.
Yep.
All right. In reality, how does a leader break down the building of relationship and understanding of their teams? What are the complexities involved in this?
Well, from a complexity standpoint, every single one of your team is like a unique fingerprint, so to speak. So I always like, again, I go back to the coaching side of things in athletics. You're not going to be able to treat everybody the same.
Yep.
You have to treat everybody fairly, but treating them the same is not, that doesn't motivate everybody. So having that understanding, and of course the team needs to understand that too, is treating them fairly is absolutely necessary, but understanding the different things that are going to motivate folks, where Dharam, something might motivate you differently that motivates me, and that particular leader of that team needs to understand that, and finding those key indicators to be able to motivate us to be able to perform at our best. So from a leader breakdown, really we could, from a PMI standpoint, we could even break it down into your stakeholder engagement, where literally you're going through what are their hobbies that they like, you're breaking it down, having a personality or a chart just of understanding all the different things, and what motivates folks within your team is really what's necessary to be able to lead them and bring them all together, find a unifying type of a message that can bring them all together to execute as one. That is, the storming, norming, forming, and performing phases. Those are the real things from a leadership standpoint, that you have to go through those different phases, and understanding who your team is and their views of certain perspectives are all necessary to be able to motivate them to perform.
Yeah, no, very nicely put together. The other thing is understanding. You mentioned that using the Maslow theory, Maslow's need hierarchy, which helps you to understand where my various stakeholders are, team members are, in the 5 level of needs. When you're starting, very basic needs are there, and if you can satisfy those needs, you are doing a good job for them. But as they go further up in the ladder, then you have to think differently. For okay, this person is not going to be motivated by a dinner for 2. Now we have to think differently. We have to think about, hey, maybe we send him to the conference being done by PMI in this Orlando or somewhere. Or now, okay, conference is not exciting. Let's do something else. So that's how as you mentioned correctly, how you're going to look at various leaders, various team members, and break it down into what motivates them.
Yep, no question.
Yeah. Why does project leadership need a seat in executive table? You think it's important?
Absolutely. Certainly that is going to be your direct, we can call it a steering committee or however you want to call it. From being able to have that direct communication to the C-suite certainly is important, because by the time certain reports or anything get up to that level, they may have probably gone through several layers of how they want specific information to be displayed. And I think being able to have someone at the table, again, kind of going back to that leadership standpoint from a C-suite, they should want that on the ground type knowledge at the table, so to speak, because it's vital. I remember in my time with the military, one of our senior officers, he would be, his day would be planned from sun up to sundown, and probably even into the evenings. And but there would be times, not often, but there would be times that he would just blow them off. He would get in a car and just drive around base, and we'd eventually get a call down at our office and say that the boss man is out and about. We don't know where he's at, but heads up. And a lot of times he would show up unannounced to our office and just check in with us. Hey, your boots fit? Are you getting your mail? I just wanted to break away from all that and get down on the ground with the folks that are doing the actual work and see it for myself. And so, again, a great leader that, it would inspire these younger troops into being great leaders later. That's the type of stuff where, he would do that type of those things. And it's not necessarily maybe protocol, but he always had the time for the folks that truly were the ones that were getting the job done and being able to, quite frankly, make those senior leaders look good. And so, again, I've been very blessed to have some of those senior type leaders, even in the military, where they would just blow other meetings off to just come and see the real folks. And so from having a project leadership, having a seat at the table, I think is very important, just to make sure that you still have that ability to reach out and touch.
Yep. And also you get to know the reality of what's happening on the ground, and helps the project team, project managers, to align with their objective or strategies of the vision they have.
Yeah, and even from a servant leadership standpoint is, let's say that you're with a big company and there's a ton of different administrative obstacles that are coming down from the enterprise level. Having that seat at the table can let them know that, hey, the decisions to implement these processes are literally bogging our staff down to where they're not even capable of executing, or it's costing us more. We're gonna have to hire more people to be able to just be able to meet these expectations. So, like you said, having that understanding of the reality on the ground, I think is very important.
Right. Great. Good. Thank you. And look, this topic is very interesting. We can keep talking about this for hours and hours. And yeah, we had to stop somewhere. So thank you for sharing your experience, and you're working with several people and your mentors, how you see them and how they have build you what you are today. Is all important things, and hopefully people are finding this useful, and they say, okay, if learning from these folks, what they got into their life, and learning the leadership style you had, or you're going to use it for building those big things in Saudi, all important. So look, thank you for keep sharing your experiences, authentic discussion, and the real discussion. There's no script. That's very important for people to say that, hey, these are also human beings. They're gone from grassroots to what they're doing just by applying certain techniques, certain things. And if I apply, can be important. Can you help me to achieve certain goals in my life? So thank you for part of my all this podcast series happening, and hopefully we'll bring more and more topics for folks to learn from.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, and till next time, see you. Bye.
Thanks, Dharam.